Today's video is about adultcentrism. This is the idea or the belief that adults are better than children, or that what adults want or adults believe is more important or more correct than what children believe or want. Adultcentrism is a form of egocentrism, which is viewing situations or circumstances from your own perspective and having difficulty of seeing something from someone else's perspective. Adultcentrism is also a form of chauvinism, which is the belief that people from a certain group are better than those from another group. You might be familiar with the term male chauvinist, which was a phrase that came into frequent use in the 1970s during the feminist movement that was used to call out people who believed that men were inherently better than women. Now, adultcentrism, this is the idea that adults are more important than children and that adults have the right or the responsibility to control the world and tell children what to do and how to live. Understanding adultcentrism is important in our exploration of children's rights because the world's controlled by adults, and if children's rights are to be fully protected and achieved, then adults must take action to defend those rights. And adults seeing children as important and having rights and an important place in our world is the place we have to start this important work. So there are many, many examples of adultcentrism in our world, in our community. For example, behind me, this is the Iowa City's City Park pool. This is just north of the Hampshire, which is just over there, and across the street from Mayflower, which is not quite across the street, down a little ways across the street that way. Now, City Park has long had an outdoor community pool. A few years ago, the city began plans to update and remodel the pool as it was leaking water, was falling into disrepair, and wasn't really serving the community that well. So the decision-making process for the renovation plans, this is a perfect example of adultcentrism at work. Now, the city held a couple open forums and some listening sessions to update and generate the plans for the renovated pool. Those forums and listening sessions were almost exclusively attended by adults. In fact, records suggest from what the city reported, there was only one youth or child who participated in any of the open forums. So why was that? Well, the open forums were held in locations and times that were convenient and accessible by adults. They're primarily located in locations that were accessible by car, a long drive from here. Most of them were held a long drive from here. And often in the evening when children would have to ask permission from their parents to attend or get help to attend, or they often had other activities or things going on in the evenings that made it impossible for them to attend. And they also advertised through like adult primary channels like the newspaper, which children don't read generally. And you know, the people that were getting that feedback, they could have just gone to the pool that was here and asked the children who were here using the pool what they wanted for the new pool, but they didn't do that. Why? Why did they do this adult-centric approach for getting feedback? Well, one explanation is that the plans for getting feedback and guidance on what the pool would look like excluded children on purpose. And one of the reasons is that the neighborhood where this pool is located is very active, powerful, and connected adults in the community. And they worked really hard to be sure that their input into what they wanted for the pool was heard loud and clear. If you look at some of the survey feedback and some of the comments that were made about the pool, some of the things people said, some of the things the adults said were that a small play area for children's pool activities could be tolerated so long as it was quiet and off to one side. They also said some comments like, we don't want the lap lane section being overrun by children, or we look for spaces to not be kicked by kids. These are all adult-centric views. So the idea that the exclusion of children from the planning represents the idea that children don't know what's best for them or what's best for the community. The desire for a small, off-to-the-side, quiet play area suggests children are too noisy and are not the primary and most important users of the new pool. The idea that children would overrun the lap lane section suggests that children don't want to use the lap lane section for a legitimate purpose, and that children are used more than their fair share of space. The idea that adults want a space to not be kicked by children suggests that children like or enjoy kicking adults or enjoy being kicked by them by each other, and that the problem is really the presence of children in the pool at all, rather than a pool that's too small for the amount of demand in the community. So as a result, for all these adult-centric ideas, what's being built for the renovated pool is primarily represents what adults want. A large, I don't know if you can see from behind me, but there's a large lap swim area, which will have cooler water temperatures for lap swimming, a large, deep diving area for practicing diving, and a small, isolated, quiet, if you will, area for children that will only be a open part of the time, as the mornings will be reserved for lap swim and adult use of the pools. So once you start to see these examples of adult-centrism in our community and your communities, you start to see it over and over and over again. It's everywhere in our world and in our community. So your assignment this week, to be uploaded on Icon prior to the start of our next class, is to reflect on your own childhood in 300 to 400 words or a 5-minute video. Please address the following prompts. So reflecting on your childhood, how were your rights protected or achieved? Consider areas such as housing, education, food, safety, and play. Who are some adults other than your parents or guardians who were important in supporting achievement of your rights, and why? What does your home community do well in supporting children's rights? What are the areas where they do well? What are some areas that might be a challenge for you in your home community? And finally, identify an example of adult-centrism in your home community and briefly explain how it represents the perspective that adults are more important or have better ideas or are more valuable than children. So please upload your essay or your video to Icon in the assignment section, and we'll see you in class.